I don't know if you've been following this. Maybe not. I just realized how white this room is. I mean, it's pop culture. You probably heard about it. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching this whole Drake and Kendrick. My. What a time to be alive. All right, so Drake and Kendrick, they are rappers, sir. They're rappers. Okay, I want to make sure everybody, and I'm not acting like I know. You might bump Kendrick all the time. You might be a big Pimp a Butterfly fan. You know, I'm just checking. So, Drake and Kendrick's relationship actually goes back way further than people realize, because Drake brought Kendrick with him on tour when Kendrick was like just starting to pop, but Drake was already a big deal, right? And it seemed like they were cool. You see these old interviews, they're in pictures together, they have such nice things to say about each other, and then along the line, something changed. Something happened. And we don't know what that thing is really, but they both started to kind of like go at each other in small ways. And some people take it all the way back to the Control verse. Kendrick did a verse in a song on, it was actually a Big Sean song. Big Sean is a rapper, sir. I just want to, all of these are just names, and I want to make sure that we're all up to speed. So he did a verse on a Big Sean song called Control, but it blew up so much it became Kendrick's verse. It became the Control verse, which is crazy. And in that verse, he went at everybody. He called people out by name, you know? And he said, I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you. I'm trying to make sure that your fans don't even love you anymore. They love me so much. I'm coming for the crown. I'm coming for everything, right? And just about everybody thought that it was actually pretty dope. It was actually like, okay, hip-hop as a sport. Like hip-hop as, you know, a fun thing, a contest to see who's actually the best. Because everybody calls themselves the best on every song. Eventually, someone has to be the best. You know, every rapper believes that they're the best, and they say so in their music. A lot like how one city will have several First Baptist churches. When you look around, you're like, one of y'all has to actually be first, right? How can y'all even all claim to be first? This is confusing. You know? And so he releases the Control verse. Now, this is something, maybe this is where it started. It's where a lot of people say it started, but maybe it was something else. But Drake seemed to take some sort of issue with the love that Kendrick was getting for that verse, with him being called out, even though he's someone that helped, you know, Kendrick out in the beginning. But even in interviews, Kendrick explained himself. He said, like, this is a contest to see who's the best. It's all love, right? But Drake has, I'm trying to be fair. Drake has a lot of feelings, and you can tell because he has a lot of albums. And there are feelings on every one of those albums. And some people don't have several albums worth of feelings. Some people only have 4 or 5 albums worth of feelings, you know? And some people decide when to let it out, and he just lets it out on a pretty tight schedule, a pretty regimented schedule of release to let out all of his feelings, you know? And he said, he's like, I just didn't like it. It didn't feel sincere. I just didn't vibe with the whole thing. Because then I saw him later, and he was all nice to me. Yeah. He said in his interview, it was all love. It's just a contest. And then from there, they had like a weirdness. And then there's like little things. You can listen to certain songs where Drake seems to be like digging right at Kendrick, but in a way where you have to really look at it and wonder, right? Not saying his name. And then Kendrick, even does a little bit of the same. But even after a little bit of this had kicked off, they still worked together one or two more times, right? Because Drake was on Good Kid, Mad City, Kendrick's album, and Kendrick was on Take Care. So there's still at least a professional relationship there to some degree, right? Fast forward a few years, and Drake's really big. And when I say really big, he's like what Bad Bunny is now, he was back then, like top in the world, right? Everybody wanted to be Drake. Everybody wanted to sing a little bit of Drake. He was #1 on Spotify. Every time he released, it was a big deal. And so some people, admittedly, were very jealous of Drake. You know, there were people who started to go at Drake a little bit. And Drake is a good writer. He may have writers that he works with. He may have... But he's also good. It's like when he's making music, everyone in the room is good. That's... I'm trying to give him his I'm trying to be objective, and y'all are trying to lean me into a way that's... But he's good, and so, you know, Meek Mill is a rapper. Sorry, Meek Mill... Because that one wasn't a name. I just want to make sure that at no point you don't think that this is like punctuation or anything. Because the names are going to get weirder as I go, right? Okay. Meek Mill came at Drake, and Drake really, truly, even if you hate Drake, Drake destroyed Meek Mill. He destroyed Meek Mill so bad that Meek Mill had to go back to jail just to level out some of that street cred. Because if you remember, Meek Mill went back to jail for a while on like this weird aspect of probation that they even tried to get changed as a law. So then Meek Mill became this like face of changing incarceration and changing the criminal justice system, everything, because he had to do something else for a little while because Drake really ate him up, all right? And so more time passes, and there's still not much between Kendrick and Drake in this moment, right? And then Drake gets into it. And I want to be clear, because a lot of people sometimes feel bad for Drake in a way that I want to be clear. He does start a lot of this stuff. He does like have a little thing in a song that implies that your wife is unfaithful, and then when you come at him directly, he's like, what's with all the hate? I'm all love. It's like, no. The best way I can describe it is that Drake kind of fights like a cat. And some rappers fight like dogs. And so, you know, he'll do a little paw and he'll be like, what's the issue? And so Drake went at Pusha T, which was a true mistake. This is the thing about people like Pusha T, right? You don't want to mess with anyone who's actually had a hard life. You know? Like, you know, Drake grew up in Canada, grew up with... Like, it's just... This is my thing. A lot of people come at Drake for... You know, they come in at a way I don't like. They come at him in this like colorism way where it's like, you're not really black because you're half white. I don't roll with any of that. I just truly think... But you see what I'm talking about. I'm not... Y'all are trying to get me to do something I'm not doing. I'm just saying it's very hard for a rapper to seem hard, right? When they have not been through what other rappers have been through. Like, it's hard to go hard when everybody knows you had health care. Because I'm not saying there aren't hardened criminals in Canada. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that if somebody knows that anytime you were sick, you could call a doctor. It just takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails of like, I'll kill you. It's like... Yeah, but if I hurt you, you go to a doctor immediately. Like, so anyway, Kendrick is still off doing his thing, releasing amazing music, but Drake gets into it with Pusha T, which was a mistake because he told Pusha T, he's like, I got more money than you, I got more women than you, I'm more famous than you'll ever be. And then Pusha T said, you have a son. He released the fact that Drake had a son, which people didn't know, on a track that's cover was Drake in blackface. Everything about what Pusha T did to Drake is why you don't get involved with people like Pusha T. You're like, you know, a part of me felt bad for Drake. Drake was probably like John at the mouth and everything and didn't know he'd do research. It's like, you know, Drake is sitting there like, guys, I thought we were rhyming. I thought we were making music. What is this? And so anyway, now Drake perceivably takes care of his son. And, you know, whatever. And so fast forward some more, and you would think that Drake had sort of learned his lesson of like, man, I shouldn't throw stones when I might have a lot of kids. And for his part, I will say this, for his part, every time somebody comes at Drake, he does come at them pretty hard, pretty heavy. And he does release music that his fans love, and there are a lot of his fans. I'm saying that's something that I thought about going into this thing, where I was like, he always does really try to like give you something, but what he gives is twofold. Drake is usually trying to give you that sort of earworm, trying to give you that thing that takes you to a place beyond the beef. So now people will still play back to back and songs that were responses to beefs he's had in the past, just as songs to enjoy, you know? And so this year, Drake and J. Cole started, you know, they started doing appearances together. Like J. Cole would pop up at Drake's concert. And J. Cole is also someone who I genuinely believe is one of the most talented, phenomenal, musically inclined artists that I've encountered. I really enjoy his music. I don't know him as a person, and I think he's amazing, right? So he is on a couple of Drake songs after they appeared together last year, and it made me listen to those songs. I was like, oh, J. Cole, okay, you know, because I admittedly I hadn't listened to Drake in a long time because I only have a certain amount of feelings. I feel like I got pretty far. I feel like I listened to several albums, and then at a certain point, I was like, I feel grown. Like, you know? And anyway, they do a song together, and then they do a song called First Person Shooter. And in First Person Shooter, they're going back and forth about how great the era is and how great they are. And First Person Shooter is a fantastic song, right? And then J. Cole in the song says, I'm like, you'll forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, but he says, maybe something like we're the top three, top two, three, okay. And then he was like, is it Kendrick, is it Aubrey, or me? Because we're the big three, like we started the league, but right now I feel like Muhammad Ali, right? And I guess Kendrick heard that and took it as a personal affront. I wouldn't have felt that way. Like if two people were like, man, we're the best ever, and Josh is great too, and I wasn't even there, I would be like, oh, thanks. But I'm not built like Kendrick. You know? And so then later we would also find out that apparently Drake tried to get Kendrick on that track. So he knew it was coming up and he didn't want any part of it. And then I guess he hated that he was mentioned. So then Metro Boomin and Future are rappers that... Because that could have been a label name. I'm not making fun of you at all. I'm just making sure everybody is up to speed and you're right in front of me. That's all that's happening, right? So Metro Boomin and Future, they release an album called We Don't Trust You, and on it is a track called Like That. Now, Like That is where Kendrick does essentially the control effect on this song. He does a verse that really made me forget it was a song. I don't know what anyone else said on the song, right? And on the song, he says, "Fuck the big three, it's just big me," right? Which is also, hey, I've always said I want to be the best. I've said it from day one. As soon as people started interviewing me, I said I want to be the best. As soon as people started listening to my music, I said I wanted to be the best. This is not out of character for me. This is the same thing I did 10 years ago, right? So just for me, if it were me, if I was one of them, if I was Drake and I heard "fuck the big three, it's just big me," I also wouldn't take it as a personal affront. Because there were other things in the song where he came at Drake specifically. He didn't really have much for J. Cole. And yeah, it just sat for a while. It sat, and everybody was like, ooh, what are Drake and Cole gonna do? And then Cole was actually, I think, the first one to release. He released this song that he's since taken down called 7 Minute Drill, and he went at Kendrick in the song. And then he took it down, and a lot of people clowned him for it, but it's something that even, I'm not being a revisionist here. I said this when it happened. I was like, I respect the fact that he took it down. Because it's not something he really wanted to do. And the internet is all gas, no brakes. The internet will get you to mess up your life. Do you know what I mean? People you don't know are like, I wouldn't take that if I was you. What you gonna do? Huh? Do something, huh? Huh? People who are very safe at home, I wouldn't, if I was you, ooh, I'd go at his neck. I'd eat him alive if I was you. Do something, Jermaine, do it. Do it. And so he took it down, and he even said, he's like, I didn't feel like doing it, so it's not even good. I kind of just went at him a little bit, and it's true. In the song, he doesn't even say anything that bad. He's just like, one of your albums was boring. I won't even say which one. And then he took it down because he said, I don't know, this felt corny. And I respected the hell out of that. Very few men, grown men, famous men, powerful men, very few ever apologize. Very few ever apologize without being made to, with the threat of losing their money, losing their fame, losing something. Very few men. So I respect that, and people clowned him to no end. But then the actual beef between Drake and Kendrick started, and that was a lot. Because Drake released a song called Push Ups, and he didn't just go at Kendrick, he went at a bunch of people and, implied that Kendrick's wife was unfaithful, that his son might not be his and everything. And people were like, ooh, what's Kendrick gonna do? What's gonna happen, right? And then, he releases another song, and this song is AI. This song is Drake with the late Tupac and Snoop Dogg, and it's going at Kendrick. And some people had their feelings about that. But then, oof. On a random morning, I was, it was right about the time I was supposed to say my prayers anyway. You know your morning prayers? Your thank your God for waking me up this morning, right? And Kendrick dropped a song called Euphoria. And I think when it happened, a lot of people, including me, was like, oh, this is an actual rap beef now in the way that we had in the 90s. These dudes do not like each other. And Kendrick says he hates him in the song. He says, I hate you. He said it a lot. He said, I hate you a lot. He did artistically, but he was like, ooh, I hate you. Ooh. Ooh, I hate you. Ooh, right? And, woof. It was a lot, right? And then And then, Drake released, actually, no, Kendrick released one. He released so many, I actually lost count. So then he released a song that I didn't even get to fully digest because he released, and then Drake released his response. And this was like what Drake had been waiting for. This was like all these, in my opinion, all these years of like, I was nice to you, and then you came at everybody, including me, and all I'm doing is writing my feelings down in albums and making money. And I just want to be number one. I just want to be the best with feelings. I want to be the best. And so he just took everything that he had, and he put it in a song called Family Matters, right? And 20 minutes later, Kendrick released a song called Meet the Grams, which is a real play off Family Matters. And he had said in 616 before, he was like, have you ever thought about the fact that like people in your camp are working for me, that everyone hates you so much they feed me information about you, and that there's no way that you're going to win this because I write so many songs, because all I do is hang out with my wife and my kids and I write, right? This is all that I do. I enjoy this. This is my favorite thing to do, is just sit at home and hate you and write songs about you and how much I hate you. So I can go forever. This will never be over. We can chill. We can just go back and forth, and I'll release 20 for every one that you release. You keep saying that it's a 1v20, and it is. It's one of you, and it's 20 songs of me every single day until the both of us die. This is old black man hate. You got to understand. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen with people under 60 almost ever. This is old. This is old. We knew each other during the civil rights movement hate that he brought to this battle. And Drake was like, guys, I thought we were rhyming. And in Meet the Grams, he laid it down. He started the song by talking to Drake's son. Talking to Drake's son, being like, I'm sorry that's your father. Genuinely, I'm sorry that's your father, because I can tell he's not raising you well, because I can tell he's not living a good life and he's not a decent man, okay? And so if you don't understand this right now because you're 6, play it back when you're 18, okay? He said lots of things. He said things that are illegal. He said Drake was doing things that, you can listen to it. Woof. He even had this effect in the song. At the end of the song, when he's like, you lied, he called him a liar several times, and he's like, you lied. I was like, oh, that's too much. And he tells him about himself. He talks to his son, he talks to his dad, he talks to his mom, and then he talks to him directly, right? He also talks to, potentially, a daughter that Drake is not taking care of. Which I was listening to, I was like, not again. I feel like once they find the first kid, you gotta just get all the kids. You gotta just have a whole Graham family, just so you know where everybody is. And people go back and forth. Does he have a daughter? Does he not have a daughter? Some people think they've even found the daughter, everything like that. And I don't know. It's really bad. It's so bad. And honestly, I never wanted it to get to a bad place. This is something, I'll talk about this more in the future and everything, but I have a deep love, but a strange relationship with hip hop, because if everything is in music, it's all good. It's when things leave music that things get bad, And so as much as I joke about Drake and I like Kendrick and I've liked some of Drake's songs, I don't actually want them to do anything to each other. You know what I mean? Now, if what Kendrick is saying about Drake is true, we should lock Drake up. We should lock Drake up. And if what Drake is saying about Kendrick is true, we should lock Kendrick up, all right? Because, it's a rap battle, two dudes that hate each other. Maybe they're lying, who knows? But I'm just saying, this thing, I didn't want to see anything bad happen to either one of them. But when Meet the Grams got released, I don't know what Drake thinks, and I don't know what his life is like, especially right now. But I think back to those battles and those beefs in the 90s, and I wonder if Drake wasn't like, I'd like to be shot, please. Like if you could just plug me one time and then we can smooth the thing over. Because then, as if Meet the Grams wasn't enough, Kendrick released a song called Not Like Us, which is the catchiest way to call somebody a I've ever heard in my life. You'd be dancing to it forgetting what the song is about. Like, you know. And then Drake released The Heart Part 6. And I think that's when he lost. I think... Because in The Heart Part 6, he's like, this was all part of my plan. We fed you information about me for you to say, so everything that you said is wrong. And don't you feel dumb now that I tricked you? And it just kind of felt like, you know like what a kid, okay, you know like when you play a rock, paper, scissors, and you do rock, and the other kid does scissors, and you're like, and they're like, no, actually, these are lasers. Ba-pow, 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 ba-pow. Because I was like, Drake, if it was part of your plan to feed Kendrick information about you for him to rap about very well, by the way, like even if those are lies, they do sound good and they sound very true. Even if you fed him all this information about you to rap about to then look dumb when it was wrong, why'd you send him that stuff? That's the worst stuff you could send somebody. Hey, tell him this thing about me that's not true but was true once, and tell him I'm a thing that no one wants to be. So now that it's over, because I do hope it's over, I feel like Drake should just release some songs about some feelings.
I've been genuinely obsessed since I saw it from the moment that it happened. You know, it was around Thanksgiving, and what a thing to be thankful for. Wow. I can't stop reading Drake's filing. Drake's court filing. Suing UMG. I mean, Drake suing UMG, Spotify, I think iHeartRadio, yeah. Like, he's suing everybody but Kendrick. Like, all right. In case you don't know, because I don't expect everybody to just know everything I'm talking about all the time. In case you don't know, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper. He's a phenomenal rapper. You know, some are saying the best to ever do it, right? There are a lot of people that, yeah, except Drake, yeah. Kendrick Lamar is absolutely killing it right now, and he was in a beef with Drake. Now, if you don't know, Drake was a rapper. He was a rapper until Kendrick Lamar rapped while he was rapping, and then they did it at each other, and it did not go well for Drake. Now Drake is suing, and it's such a thing to take apart because it's genuinely complicated, right? Like not just the suit, but the reasoning for the suit, and like who would actually be in like a bad position, you know? A lot of this, weirdly enough, if you go all the way back, starts with Kanye, now known as Ye, right? Now, during his Life of Pablo tour, Ye went on this rant. Now, Ye became known for rants. That was like a thing as far back as the Yeezus tour. Probably started, I actually think it started when he was touring 808 and Heartbreak, where just mid-concert, instead of an intermission, he would go on a wild rant, right? Like, and sometimes the rants would have some genuine
like genuine little nuggets in them of like, oh, that's an inspiring thing that he said. I'm gonna hold on to that. And then sometimes it would be full of things where you were like, does he know? But he's all right. And in one of these rants that became like part of going to the concert, what's Kanye going to talk about? What's he going to go off on and everything? During Life of Pablo, Ye does this thing where he's like, radio lied to you, right? Now, Ye is probably one of the most imperfect messengers of our time. Like it's sometimes, hear me out, once in a while, sometimes he has something to say that has genuine value in the industry. There are things that he says that are inspiring to anyone who takes inspiration from it, right? And there are some times where he's like so unclear, but he's like about to get there, right? And this was one of those moments because what he was basically saying was that Drake and some of these artists, they were being artificially pumped up. They were being force-fed to us. We could not get away from them. And he took issue with it because he was like, look, you're being lied to. Something is being sold to you that is not genuine. Something is being sold to you that is completely artificial. It's a machine built by an industry to take your money. The thing that you're being sold has no soul to it. There's no artistry to it. It's just like a complex compound to take as much money from you as possible, maybe to give you the feeling of something genuine, but it's not there, I promise you. It's all been talked about behind closed doors. They've all come up with a plan to take as much of your money as possible, to take as much of your attention as possible, and to have you feeling like you're connected to some of the most hollow people who have ever lived, right? But instead of saying that, he goes, radio lied to you. So understandably, in the moment, people didn't quite understand what he was trying to say. You know? And then there's another interview more recently during the beef when it started where, you know, Ye basically says he was, and it's something that a lot of Drake stans brought up, where he was like, a lot of us involved were just so excited about the destruction of Drake, you know? And they were excited because depending on who you talk to, Drake been a menace for a minute. Like Drake has been sleeping with people's very significant others. You know, he's been doing like shady stuff. There's people who've worked on projects with Drake, and then he went ahead and even though he worked on the project with them and was happy to collab and everything, releases a project that's kind of like theirs right before, just to. There's things he's being accused of that are like, none of it is illegal, but a lot of it is terrible, right? And so, you know, Ye had his own issue with him, Drake, Kardashians, all that stuff. And so he was like, what people don't understand about Drake is that he has a rich baby daddy named Lucian. And Lucian was the top of UMG. And so now at the top of UMG, you have someone pushing Drake nonstop. And if you heard Scorpion, I don't know how you missed it, but it was the most pushed album maybe of all time. Basically, if you got on Spotify, there were people that sued Spotify because they were like, everywhere I go is Drake. I can't click away from Drake. He's coming up on playlists that have nothing to do with him just to push Drake. You will literally type in, look, I'm looking for like a little gym bob to get like some exercise too, but I really want it to be mellow, like a little Regina Spektor or something like that, but a little bit more tempo than like a Regina Spektor. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake and braids? Like, you know, you'd be like, I want some hard rock, like something classic, something that is maybe like hair metal, you know, like some of that glam punk to it and everything. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake making a mean face? And you know, he files these lawsuits, and the internet comes for him. They come for him in a way that I thought the beef was bad, but the way that the internet came for this man when he sued, they were calling him Aubrey Graham Cracker. They were quoting lyrics from him. It was I don't know, it was kind of hard to watch. Like I don't even like Drake, and I was like, man, this is a lot. This is, but he sues, and I think a lot of people don't understand what the defamation suit is about. Very quickly, basically, he sues first UMG for what he's saying is botting Kendrick, making it so that Kendrick's song "Not Like Us" is more successful than it actually should have been, right? Making it more popular through bots and through like manipulation because they made it cheaper for it to get streams, which means more people would play it and stuff like that. They lifted some of the copyright so more people would do reviews of it and stuff. And then he sues for defamation, right? And the defamation is still, once again, this is a petition. This isn't like a full-on lawsuit for damages, but it's basically saying that UMG shouldn't have let Kendrick release Not Like Us because of what it said in there about Drake and them knowing that it was false, right? And this is my thing about that. It's weird that he that he sued for Not Like Us but not Meet the Grams, which was so much worse. If you don't know, there's a song called Meet the Grams where like Kendrick talked to his whole family, talked to his son. It was everyone. That's defamation. I felt like he was defamed, as in less famous right then. Like this, it's kind of wild, But here's the thing. This is why some people are on Drake's side. And I'm not just talking about Drake's stance, right? What he is alleging is that basically UMG, who he's been in this contract with, he got a $400 million contract from them in the earlier part of the 2020s, right? And he made the money back so fast, they start renegotiating again. And if you make $400 million back quickly, they probably gonna need to pay you $600, maybe $800, who knows? And that $400 million contract was the biggest contract in music history, right? And so now he's taking these people to task in a way and at a time that is scary for the music industry. Music industry is losing market share day by day. I'm a firm believer that no matter what music you like, I don't care what it is, I don't care what genre, you personally, you have not met your favorite artist yet. That's true. You haven't met your favorite artist at all. You have to keep listening. You have to keep looking. Your favorite artist is out there, and they're trying to get to you, but there's a machine in the way, right? And so the same machine that built Drake up is the machine that is genuinely in the way of artists who are trying to get to you to be your favorite. Because y'all already have this connection. You just haven't heard their music yet, but it's coming. Right? You just have to keep looking. And it's hard to look right now because of basically what Drake is alleging, that UMG, some of these big ones, they use payola, they use all these things to make sure that their artists are the only artists that you hear, so that your favorite is the best of what's been presented to you, right? And it's a tough thing because to call UMG out for it, for Kendrick, without acknowledging that it happened to you. Like because you were. Yeah, like that's a tough one. That would be like somebody at Goldman Sachs being like, they stealing all your money. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, I believe you, but weren't you an executive? Yeah, but I'm suing because they stole from me too. They have no scruples at all. They'll steal from anybody. This is unacceptable. And so what Drake is basically alleging is that through the beef they had with Kendrick, UMG actually picked Kendrick and they built him up as much as possible to tear Drake down so that when he came back to the table and he was going to ask for more than his $400 million, they could look him in his eye and say, your stock has gone down. You're not what you used to be. You can't sell the same tickets. You don't get the same streams. How about we give you $350? And it's a lot. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But it's something similar. I see a lot of what is happening with Drake right now, at least in regards with UMG. I'm talking specifically on this part of the suit, not the defamation, anything. I'm talking about the way that he's in a negotiation with UMG while something else is going on in his life, and it's it's hindering that negotiation, right? It reminds me of something that happened with Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson got so powerful with Sony that he both found out and then accused publicly his lawyers and Sony of working together because he was becoming too powerful. He was owning too much. He was owning too much music. This man had the rights to the Beatles. Like, that's crazy. And so he said, Sony is trying to hurt me because they're not promoting my album in an era that didn't have streaming in that way. They botched my album just to try to get things from me that are mine, And it's similar to Drake in a way, because both of them were the biggest artists at the time, biggest artists in the world, right? And they're both like, just hear me out. They were both. Listen. They're both black men that everyone called white, right? And I think that some of that, a part of that, is definitely present in people's feelings on the suit, right? Because there are some people that obviously think it's funny. I kind of think it's funny, you know what I mean? But then there are people who I've heard from and who I genuinely agree with that you can't get away from the fact. You cannot get away from the fact that these two individuals, even though their suits are not the same, even though their situations are not the same, these are two individuals who built themselves up to be the biggest in the world. And when it came time for a company to pay them, maybe they did whatever they had to do to not have to do that. Now, I don't believe, personally, the botting thing, because people genuinely were dancing to Not Like Us. People were genuinely losing their minds to Not Like Us. Like, I guess I believe the bot angle that Drake has if he thinks all black people were bots. Like, that's kind of what it would take. You know bots. You know how bots be. And look, when it comes to the bot thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've done a version of what Drake is doing in my head, just personally, because bots are all around us, and they're actually one of the reasons we fight so much. You think that everyone disagrees with you online. I'm not saying everyone agrees, but not everyone has the vitriol waiting for you, that it feels like it. We found that a lot of some of the nastiest things that get said online are bots from other countries just to stir people up, And the bot has no investment in whether or not you actually get outraged, but it's just rage bait that's literally made to whether it's to keep you on an app or to distract you. Bots are everywhere, right? And I sometimes take that to my emotional advantage. Like if I get into an argument with somebody online and they make a good point, I'm like, that's a damn bot right there. That's like I used to be on the apps back in the day, and I would sometimes meet somebody, chat with them a while, then go on a date and everything. Maybe the date wouldn't work out, but I didn't get their number, and so I messaged them again on the app, and they don't respond. Like, they ghost me, and I'm like, that damn bot's something else. These bots are out here wilding, right? Like, I remember I got into argue with my mom, and she was making some really good points, and she was really like letting me know that she was disappointed in my actions and everything, and really told me why. Broke it down, how she didn't raise me to act the way I had been acted and stuff like that. And I went ahead and typed in the text, because I saw the text bubbling and everything, and I knew more was coming. And I was like, look, I'm gonna have to cut this bot off. Like this. Don't have time for bots. It's a good tactic to take. Anything in your life not going the way you want, call it a bot. And I read and I talked to people as much as I could when the beef was going down. And I talked to Kendrick stans, I talked to Drake stans, I talked to people who did not listen to hip hop at all, who really didn't have a stake in the race at all. And there were people that were saying like, oh man, the only reason Kendrick stopped dropping diss tracks is because he was scared Drake was gonna hurt himself. Then I talked to people that were like, no, Drake dropped last, so the ball is in Kendrick's court, right? I heard delusional takes. I heard erratic takes. I heard takes that were just sort of blah, whatever. It's two grown men rhyming at each other. I don't care. Like, I heard it all. What I did not hear from Drake stans or hip-hop fans at all, the entire beef was, he should sue. That smells like a lawsuit. Never came out of anybody's mouth, right? And so understandably, there are people that are upset with Drake for suing because it's like, wow, if you sue and then you win, what does that do to battle rap? What does that do to hip hop? Hip hop literally has artists talking about other artists being like, I'm going to sleep with your baby mama. Will they still do that if that person can sue for damages? There's something that is that's like linked, that can't be broken about hip hop and a sort of distance from power, right? Like if you're in the streets or if you are street, you're not supposed to be in court unless they catch you. You're not supposed to. You see what I mean? It just feels a lot to me. Everything that's happening right now between Drake, Kendrick, and UMG feels a lot like what happened between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in boxing, right? Because you look at Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two heavyweights. In case you've never watched boxing, I'll make it very simple for you. Two heavyweights in the world that were number one and number two, right? And we rarely get that in a lifetime, that the best in the world is fighting the second best in the world. And Tyson Fury is a world-class boxer, and Deontay Wilder hits really hard, okay? He's not quite as good of a boxer as Tyson, but he hits so hard, you think that he must knock the soul out of people, right? And so, sure enough, they fight. And in the first fight, Deontay Wilder knocks down Tyson Fury in like such devastating fashion that when he hit the ground, personally, so he got knocked out for a second with his eyes open, and I thought he was dead. I was sure I had seen something terrible. Like I was sitting there just looking around, even though I knew I was the only one in the room. And Tyson Fury had been through a lot. He had battled his way back from addiction, from some serious mental health issues. He talked about wanting to take his life and everything. And this man gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder in one of the later rounds. Even though he had been putting in good work the entire fight, this punch came out of nowhere and it knocks him down. And then out of nowhere, he blinks. And a part of me was like, he might still be dead. That's a reflex. I've heard of dead people blinking. That doesn't. And then he blinks again, and then he gets up, and he gets up all at once, just sort of rolls himself up and stands up, and the world is shocked. It's one of the biggest moments that year in sports. How did this dude get up? That feels impossible, right? This man sits up, stands up. And even Deontay Wilder is like, I thought you were dead. Deontay, like, he wasn't on camera in this moment from this angle, but he was probably looking at his fist like, I thought I killed him. That's okay. And they finished the fight, and the fight is a draw. And a lot of people thought that Tyson won the fight. And a lot of people said that it was a draw because boxing is rigged and it's corrupt and everything like that. I'm willing to believe both those things, but basically they did have to fight again because it was a draw. So neither one of them had lost their O yet, right? Second fight, Deontay Wilder shows up ready. And in his mind, he's like, I almost killed this dude the first time. So I'm gonna knock him out this time. It's gonna be simple. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna get right to it. Right? I actually gave him a little too much respect. I backed up a little bit. Go in. Right? And Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder, and beats him pretty bad. And I kind of thought he might beat him because I saw the documentary and the lead up, and there were people talking about like, oh, you know, Deontay's been knocking out his training partners when they're just holding the pads and stuff. And I'm like, that sound like he doesn't have aim. That's... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a boxer, but if somebody holding the pad here and you knock that man out, you missed. So, you know, Deontay Wilder gets beat in that second fight. They throw in the towel and everything. And Deontay cannot accept that he lost the fight. He actually cannot accept it. He literally says, like, no, he must have cheated then. Because I almost killed this dude. This dude must have cheated. And he takes him on this long campaign. They try to investigate him, everything. They even pull out a clause where they have to do a third fight, even though Tyson wants to go and fight someone else now. And he goes on a whole campaign where he's like, no, this guy cheated. He must have cheated if he beat me because I had him. This dude, we thought he was dead. I had this dude, and then he just beats me like that. There had to have been something, maybe he had brass knuckles in his glove. There were all of these theories going around, even in the boxing world and stuff. And that's what happened to Drake. Drake didn't believe Kendrick could beat him. He was like, no, too many people on my side. I'm too popular. I'm too big. I'm genuinely too big to fail. He thought, even though he was going into contract renegotiations with UMG, let me go ahead and have the sparring session with Kendrick. Number one, number two, going at it. It's going to get a ton of buzz. And then after I beat this dude, I'll be able to come to the table and be like, pay me my $800 million. Because I just took out supposedly the best rapper, right? And then it didn't happen that way. And so now he's saying, you must have cheated. There's no way, you know? And this is a genuine mistake. Because now, if this actually follows all the way through and goes from a petition into a lawsuit, Not Like Us is going to go into public court records. A stenographer is going to have to type out the lyrics to Not Like Us. I don't think he thought it through. Do you know what I mean? Because, and this, look, maybe this is me being a hater. This is me making some assumptions. I'm just throwing it out there. This is what I think. I think genuinely that Drake's lawyer is definitely white. And so now I'm worried for Drake's lawyer that he's going to be in a predicament where he has to defend his client from and then read out the lyrics to Not Like Us. Now look, rap lyrics in court is nothing new. Rap lyrics get used to, send rappers to jail. It gets used against them. It gets in all these different ways. It's nothing new. But whenever you're in court and you got to read the lyrics, usually court likes to still keep things proper. So they'll probably do some replacements. You know what I mean? Like, I think when Drake's lawyer gets to the end where he's going to have to be creative. Going to have a different word in there. Probably something like, gentlemen. He's going to be standing there having to read the lyrics to make his point. He's going to be standing in front of maybe a jury. Who knows, right? He's standing there. Okay. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. Party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy. Certified... Your Honor.
Wop, 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 wop. Dot, F them up. Wop, 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 wop. I'm gonna do my stuff. Why you trolling like a female dog? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord. And that's a lot of O's. And it's probably I'll try. A. I'm sorry, I'll do one quick correction here. They're missing an apostrophe R-E here. They're not like us. They're not like us. They're not, actually, I'll just take away the contract. They are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us. No. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, you know? And I'm torn because there's things in this suit that if it goes through, if they can prove that UMG and even some of the other big labels are still using payola, maybe they have to do such a big payout that they make it not worth it to do it again. You know, that's a genuine hope that I have. Or maybe the government can look at these labels, look how much power they have, and you know, it's unlikely, but break them up a bit. Right? They're already losing market share with us, the people. They already don't have the power that they used to have, right? No matter how much they push, no matter how much they repeat, sometimes it just doesn't work. Because we know they're doing it, by the way. We already know they're doing it because we know when we look at charts and they're like, this is the top artist. And we're like, who? I've never heard of this person at all. Do you, I guess. You know? So if the structure came tumbling down, that would help the little guy, the new artist. The artist has been trying this whole time to break through. Reminds me of the story of Samson, right? Make it very short. Samson was very strong, loses his strength, and then becomes enslaved by the Philistines. And then while he's between two pillars, he begs God, give me my strength back. Give me my strength back so I can take revenge on the Philistines. And God gives him his strength back just for that little bit of time, just for that time that it took to push the pillars, crack them, break it down, and bring it down on him and the Philistines. And I think that's what could be happening here. You know, because I don't know how Drake moves on from this at all, whether he wins or he loses. But I know that he might be able to bring the structure down with him, on him, right? And there is a genuine part of me that's split because I don't think that the bots thing happened in that way. I'm sure that generally it happens with every big artist. I will say that. I think no matter who you are, there's probably bots pushing, pulling, whatever. I don't think it's enough to make someone number one, but I do think that it must just happen, right? But the part that I can't get over is that, like, as much as I don't like Drake, that's a black man trying to get paid what he's worth. You know, he made that money back for them. They should pay him. They do owe him. And I don't think they used Kendrick. I think Kendrick is not only an incredible artist, but he was at the right place at the right time. I think if this beef had happened in any other time, maybe it wouldn't have gone the way that it went. I think Kendrick is smart with his timing. He's obviously brilliant with his music. And I think that he knew this is it, right? You speak on me, I speak on you. But even Kendrick said in Euphoria, still love when you see success, right? His rival, this person he can't stand.
So even Kendrick, to some degree, probably thinks, I hate you. Don't get me wrong. Ooh, if you fail right now, that'd be hilarious. Like, I hate you. I hate you. But also, you made them that money. You know? Because there's no real proof, which I think actually hurts Drake's case. There's no real proof that he is not going to make a comeback because he's still one of the #1 trending artists without releasing an album this year, even as he lost all that stock. And the stock he can get back quickly. I'll tell you how. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but all he has to do is be like, y'all, look, y'all, could be an Instagram story. He loves that. Instagram story. Where he comes to us, the people, and he just says, look, y'all, all right, maybe this isn't the way. He got me. All right, I got God. But you know what? I got something for you, my fans. I have new music coming, and I hope you love it. That's it. Let it go. You know what I mean? You got God. This stuff is way weirder. You're clearly spinning out. If anything, it makes me more afraid of Kendrick because you gotta remember, first lines of Euphoria. Superpowers getting neutralized. Famous actor once knew was looking paranoid. Now he's spiraling. Who lets you sue as a rapper? You gotta be spiraling to do it. That's like being a bona fide gangster and getting shot and then being like, police! You know? I don't know. I think that, you know, Kendrick caused a full release of the culture, of the movement. People are excited, revitalizing hip hop. There's a chance that with this suit, if he wins, if he follows it all the way through and he wins, that Drake could loose the people from the industry in a small way. And there's a chance that you could get to meet your favorite artist. You know? I guess I'll just end it most appropriately with a line from J. Cole.